Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, WWE legend known for his charisma, agility, and unforgettable moments. Big Show, the colossal destroyer of WWE, towering at 7 feet tall and 500 pounds, a powerhouse and unstoppable force. Today, we take you through the journey of WWE's face and destroyer. Shawn Michaels' story doesn't begin under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden or in front of roaring pay-per-view crowds. It begins in Chandler, Arizona, where Michael Shawn Hickenbottom was born on July 22, 1965. The youngest of 4 children, Shawn grew up in a strict military family. His father, a colonel in the Air Force, instilled discipline, but Shawn never quite fit the mold of his siblings. Unlike them, he wasn't drawn to the structured life of military duty. His heart belonged to something flashier, louder, and more unpredictable. From the moment he was a kid, Shawn wanted to entertain. He would set up makeshift wrestling rings in his backyard, drape towels around his shoulders like championship belts, and mimic his heroes from television. His favorite? Ric Flair. The nature boy embodied everything Shawn admired: charisma, confidence, and the ability to control an audience with just a look. By the time he was in high school in San Antonio, Texas, Shawn's athletic ability was obvious. He was a standout linebacker on the football team, but even with his talent on the field, he never felt football was his true calling. His eyes were locked on professional wrestling. After graduating, Shawn made a bold choice that would shape the rest of his life. He enrolled at Southwest Texas State University, but only briefly. College life couldn't hold him. Instead, he pursued wrestling, a decision that set him on the path to one of the most storied careers in WWE history. Shawn trained under Jose Lothario, a respected veteran who saw raw potential in the young man. Lothario was tough, old school, and demanded respect for the craft, something Shawn would later admit he didn't fully appreciate until years later. Still, the lessons stuck. Lothario polished Shawn's fundamentals, taught him how to sell a move, and drilled into him the importance of timing and psychology in the ring. More importantly, Lothario gave him confidence, the belief that he could not only wrestle but also become a star. At just 19, Shawn made his professional debut in 1984 with the National Wrestling Alliance's affiliate Mid-South Wrestling. He wrestled under his real name, Michael Hickenbottom, but soon realized it wasn't exactly a marketable ring name. He switched to Shawn Michaels, a decision that would later become iconic. His early days on the independent circuit were grueling. Long car rides, small crowds, and tiny paychecks defined his life. He would wrestle multiple times a week, sometimes twice in one day, all while living out of motels. Yet even then, people noticed something different about him. He wasn't just another young wrestler trying to get by. Shawn had a natural showman's flair. He connected with audiences instantly, even in smoky bingo halls. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but he had something that couldn't be taught: presence. By 1985, Shawn's reputation caught the attention of Mid-South Wrestling and eventually the American Wrestling Association, AWA, where he would meet the man who would change his career forever, Marty Jannetty. Together they formed a tag team that oozed charisma and athleticism, the Midnight Rockers. Their style was revolutionary for the time. Fast-paced, high-flying, full of energy. They weren't the plodding heavyweights fans were used to. They were innovators, bringing a new excitement to tag team wrestling. Their chemistry was undeniable, both inside and outside the ring. The Midnight Rockers quickly made a name for themselves in the AWA, competing against teams like Doug Summers and Buddy Rose in matches that pushed the boundaries of what tag team wrestling could be. Their bouts weren't just fights, they were spectacles. Fans cheered wildly for their daring double-team moves and never-say-die attitude. For Shawn, this was validation. He wasn't just another young wrestler, he was carving a place for himself in the industry. In 1987, the team received the biggest break of their careers. They were signed by the World Wrestling Federation. Vince McMahon, always on the lookout for young, marketable talent, saw star potential in the duo. But their first run in the WWF was short-lived and chaotic. After just 2 weeks, Shawn and Marty were released due to backstage issues. According to stories, they had a reputation for partying too hard, something that didn't sit well with management. The Rockers were gone before they even had a chance to debut on television. Undeterred, they returned to the AWA, polished their craft even more, and continued to build their reputation as one of the best tag teams in the business. The setback only fueled Shawn's determination. He wasn't going to let one mistake define him. In 1988, the WWF came calling again, and this time, the Rockers stuck. Debuting in a time when tag team wrestling was stacked with talent, the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, Demolition, the Rockers quickly proved they could hang with the best. Their matches were fast-paced, exciting, and often stole the show, even if they weren't always given top billing. For Shawn, these years with Marty Jannetty were crucial. He learned how to work the WWF schedule, how to adapt to bigger crowds, and how to connect with an audience on a grand scale. But more importantly, he began to outgrow the partnership. While the Rockers were beloved, insiders noticed Shawn had something extra, a spark, an arrogance, and a magnetism that suggested he was destined for more than just tag team glory. Vince McMahon noticed it too. Behind the scenes, Shawn was quietly building relationships that would shape his career. He became close with people like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and later Triple H, relationships that would form the foundation of The Clique, one of the most influential backstage groups in wrestling history. At this point, though, he was still just one half of the Rockers, a young talent with potential, waiting for the moment to break out. By the early 90s, that moment was fast approaching. The seeds of tension between Shawn and Marty were being planted. In January 1992, on Brutus Beefcake's barbershop, the world watched the end of the Rockers. What seemed like a reconciliation turned into betrayal. Shawn Michaels blasted Marty Jannetty with sweet chin music, then hurled him through the glass window. Fans were stunned, but it was the perfect statement. Shawn no longer needed a partner. From that shocking moment, the Heartbreak Kid was born, and his path to singles superstardom officially began. In 1992, the WWF began pushing Shawn more prominently in singles competition. One of his early defining moments was his feud with Rick Martel over the Intercontinental Championship. Shawn's pursuit of the title wasn't just about belts. It was about proving he belonged in the upper echelon of the company. Each match demonstrated his ability to tell a story in the ring, whether it was selling an injury or executing a perfectly timed high-flying maneuver. Fans were drawn to his confidence, his swagger, and the way he could switch from fan favorite to cocky, brash heel in a single promo. In January 1992, Shawn Michaels captured his first Intercontinental Championship, defeating the British Bulldog in San Antonio. Fresh off the shocking barbershop betrayal, this victory announced to the world that the Heartbreak Kid was now a singles star. Fans remember his ladder match against Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. Not just for the spectacle, but for the athletic innovation it brought to WWE programming. This match set a new standard for what could be achieved in high-stakes bouts, blending risk, drama, and crowd engagement in ways that would influence generations of wrestlers. Simultaneously, Shawn's relationships backstage grew more complex. His rise in the company coincided with clashes with management and other wrestlers who felt threatened by his rapid ascent. Known for his perfectionism, Shawn was meticulous about match planning, promos, and ring psychology. While this earned him respect from many, it also fueled tension with others who interpreted his dedication as arrogance. Shawn's commitment to his craft was unwavering, but it came at a personal cost. Strains in friendships, disagreements in locker rooms, and the pressure of maintaining his image. By 1994, Shawn Michaels had reached the peak of his early singles run. His Intercontinental Championship reigns were marked by matches that are still celebrated today for their storytelling and innovation. He had mastered the art of blending technical skill with theatrical flair, making even routine matches feel important. Fans were captivated by his performances, whether he was executing a signature flying elbow drop or cutting a promo that drew boos and cheers in equal measure. Shawn's ability to command attention without dominating physically set him apart from many contemporaries, and management recognized that he was ready for main event status. However, the mid-1990s weren't without setbacks. Shawn faced minor injuries and the constant physical toll of high-intensity matches. His body, pushed to the limits, demanded careful management. At the same time, the industry was evolving rapidly. The The WWF was facing competition, shifts in audience demographics, and the need to develop stars who could carry pay-per-views. Shawn, with his combination of charisma and skill, became a key figure in this transition. He represented a new generation of wrestlers, athletic, marketable, and able to carry a storyline both inside and outside the ring. By late 1994, Shawn Michaels' singles run had reached critical acclaim. Critics and fans alike recognized his unique blend of talent and showmanship. His feud with Diesel for the Intercontinental Championship and subsequent matches against Bret Hart solidified his reputation as a main event caliber performer. Shawn had transitioned from promising young talent to cornerstone of WWF programming, capable of delivering in high-pressure situations and engaging audiences on multiple levels. The stage was set for his next evolution. The lessons from his early career, the discipline learned from his training, the chemistry developed with the Rockers, the relationships formed with the clique, combined with his natural charisma and work ethic, positioned Shawn Michaels to become one of the most influential and memorable wrestlers of the 1990s. The foundation laid during this period would carry him into feuds, title runs, and moments that defined the Attitude Era, setting the tone for a career that would eventually earn him the nickname Mr. WrestleMania. By 1995, Shawn Michaels had transitioned fully from rising star to one of WWF's premier talents. Fans had watched him grow from a tag team standout into a performer with undeniable charisma, and the time had come for him to prove he could carry the company on his shoulders. The world saw that shift at WrestleMania 11 on April 2nd, 1995, when Shawn entered the Hartford Civic Center in Connecticut to challenge Diesel for the WWF Championship. The atmosphere inside the arena was electric. Fans anticipated a clash between Diesel's brute strength and Shawn's agility and speed. Accompanied by Pamela Anderson, who added a celebrity sheen to his entrance, Michaels exuded confidence, charisma, and the kind of magnetism that drew both cheers and jeers. Every movement, from his strut to his ring gestures, that was designed to captivate the audience. The match itself was a showcase of contrasting styles. Diesel used his power advantage to dominate the early moments, tossing Shawn across the ring with spine-jarring moves. Michaels, however, relied on his speed, counterattacks, and strategic dodges to keep Diesel off balance. Each signature move, the flying elbow, the kip-up, the high-risk leaps, drew wild reactions from the crowd. The commentary team emphasized Shawn's precision and showmanship, calling attention to his ability to connect with fans even when the odds were stacked against him. Despite ultimately losing the match, the performance solidified Shawn as a main event talent. Critics praised his storytelling inside the ring, noting how he made Diesel look unstoppable while simultaneously elevating himself in the eyes of viewers. By the final bell, it was clear Michaels had transcended the mid-card label and was poised for a historic singles career. Momentum carried him into 1996, where the stage was set for his career-defining moment. At WrestleMania 12 on March 31st, 1996, in Anaheim, California, Shawn challenged Bret Hart in an Iron Man match for the WWF Championship, a contest that would go down in history as one of the greatest matches ever. The stipulation called for 60 minutes of wrestling, with the most falls determining the victor, a test of stamina, skill, and mental toughness. From the opening bell, the pace was relentless. Michaels and Hart exchanged holds, counters, and high-impact maneuvers, each trying to gain the upper hand. Shawn's aerial offense, combined with Hart's technical mastery, created a breathtaking chess match that had the Anaheim Pond fans on the edge of their seats. For 60 grueling minutes, neither competitor scored a fall, creating mounting tension in the arena. The crowd's anticipation grew with each near fall, each reversal, and each daring risk. Commentary highlighted the strategic minds of both wrestlers, breaking down the psychology behind every lockup and strike. When sudden death overtime was announced, the energy in the building reached fever pitch. Fans chanted Shawn's name, hoping he would capture the championship and fulfill his lifelong dream. Moments later, Sweet Chin music connected perfectly, and Shawn secured the victory. The crowd erupted as he held the WWF Championship aloft, tears visible in his eyes. His post-match declaration, "The boyhood dream has come true," wasn't just a statement. It was the culmination of years of struggle, risk, and ambition. Carrying the championship into 1997, Shawn became the centerpiece of a rapidly evolving WWF landscape. That year witnessed the formation of D-Generation X, a faction he co-founded with Triple H, Chyna, and later Rick Rude. DX quickly became synonymous with rebellion, irreverence, and attitude, capturing the spirit of a company ready to redefine itself. Debuting officially in the fall of 1997, DX disrupted traditional wrestling norms, with Michaels leading the charge. Their antics, including crotch chops, risque promos, and bold confrontations with authority figures, shocked audiences weekly. Michaels' charisma and timing made DX not just a faction, but a cultural phenomenon. The group's energy, chemistry, and willingness to push boundaries drew attention away from competitors, influencing the style and tone of WWF programming and setting a precedent for future stables. The faction's rise coincided with one of wrestling's most notorious controversies, the Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series on November 9, 1997. While the match itself was dramatic, the subsequent fallout magnified Shawn's prominence. Backstage tension and fan outrage surrounded his involvement, as many perceived him as a key participant in a controversial finish that altered Bret Hart's WWF exit. Michaels walked out as champion, yet the reaction was mixed. Some fans admired his opportunism, while others criticized the ethics behind the moment. The incident cemented his role not just as a performer, but as a central figure in shaping WWF's narrative, both in storylines and in real-world backstage dynamics. Before Shawn's career took another dramatic turn, there was one moment I almost forgot to mention: the iconic Lost My Smile promo in February 1998. On Monday Night Raw, this occurred just months before the infamous Montreal Screwjob. Shawn appeared in the ring and announced he was vacating the WWF Championship due to a lingering knee injury, offering fans a rare glimpse of vulnerability beneath the confident persona of the Heartbreak Kid. Just weeks prior, Shawn had competed in the Royal Rumble on January 18, 1998, facing The Undertaker in a casket match that tested both endurance and ingenuity. From the opening bell, it was evident Shawn was wrestling under the shadow of his chronic back injury. Early in the match, Undertaker launched a series of strikes, forcing Shawn to rely on counters and technical precision rather than brute force. One of the first high spots involved Shawn dodging a chokeslam attempt, rolling behind Undertaker, and leveraging the casket itself to maintain balance and create a dramatic reversal. The audience erupted at each close call, sensing the high stakes and physical danger present in the ring. Midway through the contest, Shawn executed a sequence of rope-assisted maneuvers, each designed to keep the match visually dynamic while minimizing stress on his back. He utilized springboards and quick strikes, drawing gasps from the crowd as he combined athleticism with calculated caution. One pivotal moment occurred when Undertaker lifted Shawn and slammed him against the casket lid. The collision intensified his back pain, yet Michaels recovered quickly, selling the impact convincingly and maintaining the match's dramatic tension. Every near fall and rebound was orchestrated to emphasize storytelling, not just athletic prowess, highlighting Shawn's innate ability to balance spectacle with safety. As the match progressed, Shawn's strategic thinking became evident. He baited Undertaker into risky maneuvers, creating opportunities for counterattacks and sustaining audience engagement. The casket became a central element of suspense. Shawn's positioning around its edges allowed him to sell pain and vulnerability while setting up moments of potential triumph. In the final minutes, Undertaker delivered a series of dominating moves, culminating in a chokeslam attempt. Shawn barely evaded the finishing maneuver, showcasing resilience that drew an ovation from the fans. Ultimately, Undertaker emerged victorious, but Shawn's performance left a lasting impression. The Royal Rumble match served as both a spectacle and a narrative of endurance, innovation, and professional storytelling under extreme physical limitations. Transitioning into March, Shawn entered WrestleMania 14 on March 29, 1998, in Boston, Massachusetts, to defend the WWF Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin, with Mike Tyson serving as the special enforcer. From his entrance, Michaels commanded attention. The crowd's roar, amplified by the arena's packed energy, set the stage for a match that would define the era. Shawn's physical limitations were evident, but his timing, precision, and ring psychology allowed him to maintain a high-level performance throughout. Each strike, feint, and counter was meticulously planned to entertain while protecting his back from further injury. The match opened with a tense exchange of strikes, each wrestler measuring the other's offense. Shawn used the ropes for leverage and executed swift reversals that drew immediate reactions from the audience. A critical moment saw Austin attempt a stunner early in the bout, only for Shawn to counter and place Austin in a precarious hold. The near fall created suspense, intensifying the crowd's investment in every move. Michaels' approach was as much about storytelling as technical wrestling. He used timing, facial expressions, and pacing to communicate stakes, pain, and urgency. Mid-match, Shawn set up sweet chin music, delivering feints and cues that teased the iconic finishing move while keeping the audience on edge. Austin countered several attempts, providing dynamic back-and-forth sequences that underscored both wrestlers' ring intelligence. The interaction with Mike Tyson heightened tension, as his presence outside the ring added an unpredictable element. Shawn adapted his pacing to account for both the enforcer and the physical toll of the match, demonstrating a mastery of performance under pressure. In the final sequence, Austin delivered his offense with precision, culminating in a stunner that led to the pinfall victory. Shawn's back injury forced him to pace the conclusion carefully, selling each impact and movement with authenticity. Tyson's post-match knockout added an iconic spectacle, cementing WrestleMania 14 as a defining moment in professional wrestling. The match symbolized the symbolic passing of the torch. The Attitude Era was officially underway, and Shawn, despite his defeat, remained central to the transition, proving his ability to influence storytelling even in loss. Following WrestleMania 14, Shawn entered a period of extended hiatus. The cumulative strain of years in the ring had reached a tipping point. Surgeries, rehabilitation, and rigorous physical therapy became necessary to restore mobility and address chronic back issues. Alongside physical recovery, Shawn confronted personal struggles. Alcohol and substance abuse had become challenges, amplified by the mental stress of his career and public scrutiny. These months demanded as much psychological endurance as physical, requiring reflection on past choices, career trajectory, and the toll of life in the spotlight. Even in absence, Shawn's impact remained evident. Fans revisited highlights like the Iron Man match against Bret Hart and his main event WrestleMania performances, appreciating his unique blend of charisma, technical skill, and storytelling. Colleagues frequently cited his creativity, innovation, and dedication as benchmarks for professional excellence. His hiatus highlighted the fragility of even the most celebrated careers, emphasizing that the Heartbreak Kid's return would be both eagerly anticipated and profoundly meaningful. By the end of 1998, Shawn Michaels had experienced a rare convergence of triumph and vulnerability. He had delivered two of the most memorable matches of the decade, provided the industry with the Lost My Smile moment that revealed his humanity, and achieved unparalleled influence within WWF storytelling. At the same time, injuries and personal struggles necessitated reflection and recovery. The juxtaposition of extraordinary professional achievement and near career-ending adversity defined this chapter of his life, establishing the foundation for the next phase, a triumphant return that would reaffirm his place as one of wrestling's all-time greats. After 4 years away from the ring, Shawn Michaels' return to professional wrestling was as dramatic as any of his in-ring moments. The hiatus from 1998 to 2002 had been forced by lingering back injuries and compounded by personal demons, including a well-documented struggle with alcohol abuse. Fans had long speculated if they would ever see the Heartbreak Kid perform again, but on August 25, 2002, at SummerSlam, Shawn returned in a street fight against Triple H. The arena erupted as the lights hit, signaling the return of one of wrestling's brightest stars. Despite years away, his movements were precise, his timing impeccable, and his charisma as magnetic as ever. Shawn's comeback wasn't merely physical, it was deeply personal. Years of addiction had threatened not only his career but his life. During his time away, Michaels sought treatment and confronted the destructive habits that had held him back. The path to sobriety wasn't easy. He openly admitted that alcohol had clouded judgment, affected relationships, and limited his ability to perform at peak levels. Rehabilitation and spiritual growth played crucial roles in rebuilding his discipline. By the time he returned to the WWF stage, Shawn was not only physically ready but mentally focused, determined to reclaim his place among the sport's elite. The first major post-comeback WrestleMania for Shawn came at WrestleMania 19 on March 30th, 2003, where he faced Chris Jericho. The match was an instant classic, showcasing Michaels' combination of aerial agility and precise technical wrestling. Every maneuver was executed with intensity. Every counter highlighted his ring intelligence, and the storytelling elevated the entire card. The fans' reactions were electric. Chants of HBK, HBK reverberated through the Safeco field, reaffirming that Shawn had returned not just as a performer, but as a legend. The match also underscored his ability to work seamlessly with a new generation of talent, proving his influence extended beyond his peers. 2 years later, at WrestleMania 21 on April 3rd, 2005, Shawn faced Kurt Angle. This match was a testament to experience meeting raw athleticism. Angle's technical mastery complemented Michaels' storytelling, producing a match praised for its pacing, psychology, and near-fall sequences. Every move, from Michaels' signature sweet chin music to Angle's angle slam attempts, created suspense that held the audience captive. Commentary highlighted the nuances of in-ring psychology, emphasizing Michaels' ability to make each hold and strike carry narrative weight. Post-match, critics hailed the encounter as one of the finest in modern wrestling, and fans continued to chant Michaels' name long after leaving the arena. By 2008, Shawn Michaels had established himself not only as a veteran main eventer, but as a storyteller capable of producing deeply emotional matches. At WrestleMania 24 on March 30th, 2008, he faced Ric Flair in what would be Flair's final WWE match. The narrative was cinematic. Michaels played the role of respectful adversary while telling the story of a legend's farewell. Each signature move, from flying elbows to sharp counters, was timed to maximize drama. The sweet chin music delivered to Flair at the end of the match was both a nod to Michaels' legacy and a symbolic passing of the torch. Fans were visibly moved, many applauding and some tearing up as Flair said his farewell. This match highlighted Michaels' growth not only as a performer, but as a storyteller who could convey emotion beyond mere athleticism. Shawn's career-defining redemption arc culminated in his back-to-back WrestleMania 25 and 26 matches against The Undertaker, April 5th, 2009, and March 28th, 2010, respectively. The first encounter was praised as one of the greatest matches in history, blending high-risk maneuvers with intricate storytelling. Every near fall, every counter, and each sequence of sweet chin music created tension that had fans on the edge of their seats. The second match at WrestleMania 26 served as Shawn's final bout. He approached it with a mix of reverence and intensity, aware of his physical limitations but determined to leave a lasting mark. The final moments, including the dramatic sweet chin music that concluded the match, solidified his retirement and left an indelible impression on the wrestling world. During this era, Michaels also reclaimed championships, proving he could still perform at elite levels. His WWE Championship and Intercontinental Championship reigns post-return reaffirmed his standing among the top tier of wrestling talent. His in-ring style, adapted to accommodate his back, still incorporated signature maneuvers, high-impact spots, and storytelling that had become his trademark. Fans were reminded that despite years away and personal struggles, Shawn Michaels remained a force capable of main eventing and drawing audiences like few others. Shawn's contributions extended beyond championships and matches. His leadership, mentorship, and influence on younger talent became increasingly evident. He worked closely with rising stars, demonstrating the psychology and pacing required for high-profile matches. Many of today's top performers credit Michaels with teaching them how to connect emotionally with an audience, adapt to unexpected situations, and elevate the drama of a contest. His influence ensured that his legacy extended beyond his own career, shaping wrestling for decades to come. Recognition of Shawn's impact came through multiple Hall of Fame inductions. In 2011, he was inducted individually, honoring his accomplishments, matches, and influence. Later, in 2019, D-Generation X was inducted, cementing the faction's cultural significance and Michaels' role in reshaping the Attitude Era. These honors reflected both in-ring excellence and broader contributions to professional wrestling, reinforcing his status as one of the greatest performers of all time. The closing reflection on Shawn Michaels' career emphasizes a journey of triumph, struggle, and redemption. From near career-ending injuries and battles with alcohol, to surprise returns and career-defining WrestleMania matches, his story embodies resilience. The Heartbreak Kid went from forced retirement to legendary status, proving that perseverance, focus, and passion can overcome even the darkest periods. Shawn Michaels is remembered not only as a masterful in-ring performer, but as a man who faced his demons, reclaimed his life, and left a permanent mark on professional wrestling. Paul Donald White Jr. entered the quiet town of Aiken, South Carolina on February 8, 1972, and from the very beginning he grew faster, larger, and stronger than anyone around him. While other children struggled to fill their shoes, he was outgrowing every desk, every bed, every piece of clothing his parents could find. By the age of 12, he stood over 6 feet tall and weighed more than 200 pounds. His size wasn't just extraordinary, it was alarming. Doctors soon gave it a name, acromegaly, a rare disorder caused by excess growth hormone. The diagnosis explained the height, the hands that could palm a basketball like it was a coin, the voice that sounded older than it should. But it didn't explain the confidence. Paul wasn't withdrawn or embarrassed by his size. He leaned into it. He had humor, charisma, and a way of turning heads not just because of how he looked, but because of how he carried himself. Teachers remembered him as larger than life in every way. The kind of kid who could make an entire class laugh one moment and dominate on the basketball court the next. Sports became his outlet. In high school, he was unstoppable. On the basketball team, he towered over everyone. On the football field, he was a wall of muscle and raw power. Scouts noticed. After graduation, he earned a spot at Wichita State University, where his size became both an advantage and a burden. Standing well over 7 feet tall, he drew constant attention. Fans filled arenas just to see him move, not because he was a star, but because they couldn't believe someone that massive could be that agile. But even as the college games went on, something inside him was restless. The structure of team sports never quite fit him. He wasn't just an athlete, he was a performer. He liked being in front of people, hearing the noise, feeling the reaction. When the basketball dream faded, he drifted into the real world, working whatever jobs he could find. He sold cars. He answered phones for a company that sold telephone systems. He worked as a bouncer at bars, where his presence alone kept order. Every night, strangers asked the same question: "Have you ever thought about wrestling?" The question stuck with him. He'd grown up watching the legends: Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Ric Flair. He admired the spectacle, the energy, the drama of it all. And deep down, he saw himself in it. Not just as a big man, but as someone meant to entertain. That door opened by accident in 1994. Paul was working security at a celebrity charity basketball game in Chicago when he met Danny Bonaduce, the former child actor known for his wild personality. Bonaduce couldn't take his eyes off him, a 7-foot security guard who looked like he belonged in a comic book. The two got talking. Bonaduce, who knew people in the wrestling business, mentioned Paul to Hulk Hogan, then one of WCW's top stars. Hogan agreed to meet him. That meeting changed everything. Hogan saw in Paul what every promoter dreams of finding: size, power, and presence wrapped in charm. He wasn't just big, he was magnetic. Hogan recommended him to WCW executives, setting in motion a process that would soon turn the man from Aiken into a global spectacle. Before the lights and cameras, though, came the grind. Hogan connected him with Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, a brutal wrestling school in New Jersey that specialized in training men of power. There, Paul learned the language of wrestling: how to fall, how to hit, how to sell, and most importantly, how to perform. Every day left him bruised and sore, but he absorbed everything. Sharp saw a rare combination: a man built like a tank, but light on his feet. He could throw a drop kick. He could move faster than men half his size. When word spread through WCW that Hogan's new recruit was ready, the company moved fast. They wanted something that felt mythical. In 1995, they crafted a character that would echo wrestling's most sacred legacy, the Giant, the supposed son of Andre the Giant. It was risky. Andre was a legend, untouchable in wrestling history, but WCW wanted that connection, and Paul looked the part. 7 feet tall, broad shoulders, a face that mirrored Andre's quiet intensity. When he signed his first WCW contract in mid-1995, Paul White wasn't just joining a wrestling company, he was entering the heart of the Monday Night Wars. WCW, fueled by Ted Turner's millions and the creative force of Eric Bischoff, was going head-to-head with Vince McMahon's WWF. The company needed attractions, characters that could capture headlines, and Paul was perfect for it. His first few weeks inside the organization were overwhelming. Television lights, cameras, the noise of production, the presence of legends, Flair, Sting, Hogan, Nash, men whose names he'd grown up hearing. He was the rookie among giants, yet somehow he still looked like the biggest man in the room. WCW put him through promo rehearsals, character workshops, and endless meetings. The plan was clear. He would debut as the Giant, a monster who stepped out of myth and straight into the modern ring. Behind closed doors, there were doubts. Some veterans questioned his experience. Others worried he'd been pushed too fast. But every time he stepped into the ring, those doubts started to fade. He was raw, yes, but he had something that couldn't be taught: presence. He didn't have to say a word to make people look. The way he walked, the way the ring seemed to shrink under his feet, the way he could lift an opponent like a rag doll, it all spoke louder than any promo could. In training sessions, he studied constantly. He watched tapes of Andre. He mimicked his movements, his calm control, the way Andre's silence was its own kind of threat. But Paul also brought something new: speed, agility, emotion. He wasn't just a giant. He was a new kind of big man. By late 1995, WCW was ready to unleash him. The debut would come at Halloween Havoc, one of the company's biggest events of the year. The story was set. The Giant, the heir to Andre's legacy, would confront Hulk Hogan, the biggest name in professional wrestling. In just one night, a rookie who had never competed on television would challenge the most famous wrestler alive. He wasn't just tall, he looked otherworldly, like a myth come to life. Opposite him stood Hulk Hogan, the face of professional wrestling for over a decade. The story was clear: the supposed heir to Andre the Giant's legacy facing the man who once conquered the legend. It was spectacle against superstardom, a test of size, presence, and belief. The night began with chaos even before the bell rang. Earlier on the card, Hogan and the Giant faced off in a sumo monster truck match on the roof of Detroit's Cobo Hall. In a shocking stunt, the Giant appeared to fall from the roof, only to reappear later, seemingly unscathed for the main event. Smoke filled the arena as he entered for the title match, adding to the surreal atmosphere. Hogan played the defiant hero, the Giant, the silent storm. For someone wrestling his first televised match, Paul White moved with surprising confidence. Each strike landed with weight, every movement deliberate. When Hogan tried to overpower him, the Giant tossed him across the ring to gasps from the crowd, a true display of power. The ending was pure WCW drama. Amid interference from Jimmy Hart, the Dungeon of Doom, and referee confusion, the Giant defeated Hogan by disqualification. Because of a hidden clause in Hogan's contract, added by Hart, the title could change hands on a disqualification. As a result, the Giant was briefly declared WCW World Heavyweight Champion in his debut match. It was an unprecedented moment in modern wrestling, though the title was vacated the next night on Nitro due to the controversy. WCW had found its monster. For months afterward, the Giant was booked as an unstoppable force. He feuded with top stars like Randy Savage, Sting, Ric Flair, and Lex Luger, and his devastating chokeslam became one of wrestling's most feared finishing moves. Despite his size, he showcased rare agility, even performing drop kicks and surprising leaps that defied expectations for a 7-footer. Behind the scenes, Paul was still learning. His rise was meteoric, but he was expected to perform like a seasoned veteran. Matches came quickly and storylines shifted weekly. At times he was a villain, other times a reluctant hero. WCW's creative team often changed direction, but one thing remained consistent. Whenever the Giant appeared, the crowd reacted. His sheer presence made everything feel larger than life. In 1996, WCW changed forever. When Hulk Hogan turned heel at Bash at the Beach, forming the New World Order, NWO, with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, professional wrestling entered a new era. Initially, the Giant opposed the NWO, standing as WCW's enforcer against the Outsiders. But by late 1996, he shockingly joined the faction, aligning with Hogan and embracing his role as one of their most intimidating members. The sight of a 7-foot monster in black and white made the group feel truly unstoppable. Within the NWO, the Giant became both muscle and message. When he entered the ring, destruction followed. His matches with Lex Luger and Sting were highlights of the era, not just for power displays, but for his ability to shift from monstrous villain to sympathetic figure in moments. Even when fans were meant to boo him, his charisma made that difficult. By 1997, tensions were brewing behind the scenes. White was frustrated with constant character changes and inconsistent storylines, yet his in-ring work never faltered. One of his most memorable moments came on WCW Monday Nitro, when Lex Luger lifted the Giant into the torture rack, an image that remains one of WCW's defining visuals. Later that year, he feuded with the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, for the WCW Tag Team Championships. During this period, he stunned audiences by landing a standing dropkick, a feat nearly unheard of for someone his size. However, as WCW's creative direction grew increasingly erratic, the Giant's momentum suffered. In 1998, he entered a feud with Bill Goldberg, whose undefeated streak was the company's hottest storyline. Their clashes were raw and physical, two giants colliding with explosive force. In one iconic moment, Goldberg executed a jackhammer on the Giant, lifting the 500-pound star clean off the mat. The crowd's reaction that night became one of the loudest in WCW history. Despite the loss, White earned respect for his performance and professionalism. Few could make Goldberg look that dominant while maintaining their own aura of strength. But as WCW descended into creative chaos, White's frustrations deepened. His character turned multiple times between hero and villain, often without explanation. The once dominant Giant was now part of convoluted NWO storylines and repetitive tag feuds. By late 1998, his patience was wearing thin. His contract was nearing its end, and negotiations with WCW stalled. Financial issues and backstage politics plagued the company. White felt undervalued both creatively and financially. Though still featured on television, his role had diminished. The energy that defined his early WCW years was fading. In January 1999, Paul White made the decision to leave WCW. He had become a star, but the company no longer offered the direction or stability he needed. The World Wrestling Federation, WWF, the organization he had admired growing up, offered a new beginning. Vince McMahon envisioned him not as the Giant, but as something greater. And so, in February 1999, without a farewell storyline or final send-off, Paul White quietly departed WCW. The ring that had once crowned him champion was behind him. Ahead lay a new world, one where he would become the Big Show, and eventually, one of the most enduring figures in professional wrestling history. February 1999 marked the arrival of a presence unlike any the WWE had seen. Paul White, towering over 7 feet, made his debut at St. Valentine's Day Massacre by emerging from beneath the ring to assist Vince McMahon against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Smoke rose as the crowd recoiled, and before anyone could react, Big Show delivered a thunderous chokeslam to Austin, establishing him immediately as an unstoppable force. Aligning with Mr. McMahon, he became the corporate enforcer, a living embodiment of the company's power, and his path to dominance began with dramatic impact and theatrical precision. Big Show's first major pay-per-view singles match came at Backlash 1999, where he faced Mankind in a brutal boiler room brawl. The setting was raw and unforgiving. Concrete floors, dim lighting, and scattered debris echoing the violence of the Attitude Era. Every stride, every strike, every slam felt deliberate. Big Show's immense frame dominated the narrow space, yet Foley's resilience refused to bend. Pipes clanged, walls shook, and the air filled with the sound of metal meeting flesh. The match wasn't just physical. It symbolized a war between corporate power and defiant rebellion. When Big Show unleashed a thunderous chokeslam onto the cold floor, it was less a victory and more a statement. The Giant had arrived, and he demanded respect. Months later, Big Show entered one of the most personal and shocking rivalries of his career, his feud with the Big Boss Man. What began as a battle for dominance turned deeply emotional when Boss Man cruelly mocked Big Show's family, culminating in one of WWE's most infamous moments, the funeral incident. As Big Show mourned the passing of his father, Big Boss Man and his accomplice Al Snow hijacked the funeral, chaining the coffin to a car and dragging it away as Big Show clung to it in disbelief. The segment blurred the line between fiction and cruelty, pushing the feud to an intensely personal level. The rivalry came to a violent head at Armageddon 1999, where Big Show's fury exploded in a short but decisive match. Every strike carried vengeance, and with one crushing chokeslam, Big Show ended the feud. A cathartic conclusion to one of the most twisted storylines of the Attitude Era. By SummerSlam 1999, Big Show had transitioned into tag team dominance, pairing with The Undertaker to face X-Pac and Kane for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The clash of styles, giants versus speedsters, created a thrilling dynamic. Big Show showcased deceptive agility for his size, hurling opponents with one arm, while The Undertaker methodically dissected the opposition. Key moments included double-team power moves, a mid-air chokeslam reversal, and a dramatic finishing sequence that sealed the victory and the titles. At Survivor Series 1999, Big Show's Raw dominance reached its peak. Facing 4 opponents, Big Boss Man, Mideon, Prince Albert, and Viscera, he annihilated them single-handedly, becoming the sole survivor. It was the culmination of a defining year, one that established Big Show as not just a spectacle of size, but a legitimate main event force capable of blending brutality with storytelling brilliance. Royal Rumble 2000 featured Big Show participating in the namesake Battle Royal. Each stride and strike carried weight as he attempted to dominate the field, though The Rock eventually eliminated him, creating dramatic tension and showcasing the Giant's power even in defeat. WrestleMania 2000 placed him in a 4-way WWE Championship match alongside Triple H, The Rock, and Mankind. In the chaos of the contest, Big Show executed chokeslams, bear hugs, and top rope maneuvers, while sprinkling in comedic impressions of his opponents to punctuate moments of levity. The match illustrated his unique ability to dominate physically while engaging the audience with personality and theatricality. At No Way Out 2000, Big Show faced The Rock in a high-stakes singles match to determine the WrestleMania main event challenger. The Rock's speed and agility clashed with Big Show's overwhelming power, creating a tense back-and-forth battle. Each near fall raised the energy of the crowd, but the match ended in shocking fashion when Shane McMahon interfered, allowing Big Show to deliver a massive chokeslam for the decisive victory, a moment that showcased both dominance and controversy. The arrival of Brock Lesnar in the early 2000s set the stage for one of Big Show's most intense rivalries. Their feud culminated in a match at Survivor Series 2002, where unstoppable size met explosive athleticism. Lesnar delivered repeated German suplexes, each met with Big Show's resilience and massive counterstrikes. The audience roared with every near fall, aware that each moment teetered between devastation and triumph. After his feud with Brock Lesnar, Big Show shifted his focus to Kurt Angle. Big Show entered the ring at Armageddon to challenge Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship. The match showcased a clash of styles, Big Show's raw power against Angle's technical prowess. The battle swung back and forth, with Angle using every trick in the book, but Big Show's size and strength dominated large portions of the match. Despite a valiant effort, Angle managed to win, marking an important moment in Big Show's early WWE career. By 2004, Big Show faced a new challenge at WrestleMania 20, defending the United States Championship against the rising star John Cena. Big Show started strong, unleashing crushing blows and throws that shook the ring. Cena absorbed the punishment and strategically turned the match, ultimately delivering his FU to claim the United States Championship. The victory not only elevated Cena, but also highlighted Big Show's role in showcasing emerging talent while maintaining his own dominant presence. In 2005, Big Show stepped into a high-stakes match at No Way Out, facing John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, in a barbed wire steel cage contest for the WWE Championship. Both competitors delivered punishing moves, swinging momentum repeatedly. Though JBL retained the title, Big Show demonstrated his resilience and ability to make any match feel monumental. At Taboo Tuesday 2005, Kane and Big Show faced Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch for the World Tag Team Championship. Big Show dominated with powerful strikes while Kane used high-impact teamwork. The duo executed a double-team chokeslam, overwhelming Cade and Murdoch, securing their first WWE Tag Team titles in a decisive, thrilling victory. After winning their first World Tag Team Championship at Taboo Tuesday 2005, Kane and Big Show entered Armageddon 2005 with unstoppable momentum, facing Rey Mysterio and Batista in a high-stakes tag team clash. Although the titles were not on the line, the match was a dramatic showcase of contrasting styles, Big Show's sheer power and Kane's agility against Mysterio's speed and Batista's strength. Big Show isolated Mysterio with crushing strikes, while Kane executed top rope maneuvers and synchronized double-team attacks. Near falls and suspenseful moments kept the crowd on edge, but Kane and Big Show ultimately triumphed, solidifying their dominance as one of WWE's most formidable tag teams of 2005. Through these matches from 2002 to 2005, Big Show evolved from a formidable singles competitor into a dominant force in both singles and tag team divisions, leaving a lasting mark on WWE history. By 2008, Big Show had become more than just a giant. He was a veteran whose presence defined the match before it even began. His feud with John Cena carried over from previous years and remained a defining storyline, though not at the Royal Rumble itself. That night, Cena made a surprise return, entering the Royal Rumble match at number 30 and eliminating Triple H to claim victory. Big Show, meanwhile, continued to assert his dominance in other matches, his massive strikes and calculated timing keeping audiences on edge. Every slam and punch was executed with suspense, demonstrating his ability to absorb offense and make victories feel earned, even when not directly involved with Cena. In WrestleMania 24, Big Show participated in a high-profile match against Floyd Mayweather Jr. From the opening sequences, Big Show used his massive frame to control the ring, intercepting punches and countering high-risk maneuvers. A climactic moment saw him lift Mayweather overhead, but the bout concluded with a knockout, showcasing the intersection of spectacle and storytelling. The crowd erupted at the dramatic tension, illustrating Big Show's ability to serve as both anchor and spectacle, even when the match outcome was against him. The bell rang at WWE Vengeance 2011 as Mark Henry and the Big Show faced off for the World Heavyweight Championship, and from the outset, it was a collision of titans. Henry, the reigning champion, immediately asserted his dominance with crushing strikes, his power evident as he cornered Big Show and delivered a series of punishing blows. Big Show absorbed the punishment, using his size and reach to counter, landing a massive punch that staggered Henry. Both men traded heavy chops and forearms, their sheer size shaking the ring with each impact. Henry hoisted Big Show for a massive bear hug, attempting to sap the giant's strength, but Big Show wriggled free and responded with a devastating chokeslam. The momentum swung back and forth as Henry delivered his signature world's strongest slam, only for Big Show to kick out, leaving the crowd in awe. At the apex of the contest, both men climbed the turnbuckles, aiming for high-impact top rope moves, but the sheer combined force caused the ring to collapse beneath them. The arena erupted as medical personnel rushed in, and the match was declared a no contest. Henry retained the title, but the rivalry was far from over, setting the stage for further confrontations. 2 years later, the ongoing feud with Randy Orton escalated in 2013. On May 19th at Extreme Rules, Orton and Big Show collided in a brutal encounter that highlighted Orton's cunning and Big Show's power. Orton targeted Big Show's legs, trying to neutralize the giant's mobility, while Big Show countered with crushing blows and a thunderous knockout punch. The match was hard-hitting, with Orton using his veteran instincts to evade the Big Show's most dangerous attacks, including a near chokeslam escape. Later that year at Survivor Series on November 24th, the stakes rose as Orton defended the WWE Championship against Big Show in the main event. Big Show dominated early, absorbing Orton's calculated strikes and responding with massive haymakers and a delayed chokeslam that nearly ended the contest. Orton survived, using his signature RKO out of nowhere to almost steal the victory. The crowd was on the edge of their seats as Big Show continued to assert his dominance, but Orton's resilience kept the match unpredictable until the closing moments, cementing their 2013 rivalry as one of the most physically intense in recent WWE history. At WrestleMania 29 on April 7, 2013, The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns faced Randy Orton, Sheamus, and The Big Show in a six-man tag team match. The Shield secured a victory when Ambrose pinned Orton after a spear by Reigns. WWE later that year, on November 4, 2013, during an episode of WWE Raw, The Big Show was rehired and immediately placed in a 4-on-1 handicap match against WWE champion Randy Orton and The Shield. Despite being outnumbered, Big Show fought back valiantly, even delivering a double suplex to Rollins and Ambrose. However, the match ended in a disqualification when Kane, now in a suit and tie, handed chairs to Orton and The Shield. They used the chairs to assault Big Show, culminating in a triple powerbomb through the commentary table. WWE. These encounters highlighted Big Show's resilience and the growing dominance of The Shield during that period. At WrestleMania 31, on March 29, 2015, Big Show entered the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, determined to dominate. From the opening bell, he used his overwhelming size to control the ring, tossing mid-card competitors over the top rope with ease, and clearing paths to assert his presence. His strategy was methodical, targeting key opponents while minimizing his exposure to group attacks. He absorbed occasional strikes from faster competitors, shrugging off attempts to eliminate him. The match's climax saw Damien Mizdow, surprisingly resilient, square off against Big Show after most other competitors had been eliminated. Both men traded heavy blows, Mizdow using agility and clever maneuvers to stay in the ring while Big Show relied on raw power. In a decisive moment, Big Show caught Mizdow midair during an attempted springboard attack and launched him over the top rope. The crowd erupted as Big Show stood alone in the ring, victorious, lifting the Andre the Giant trophy to a thunderous ovation. This win reinforced his status as a dominant force in WWE even in the later stages of his career. By 2017, Big Show had embarked on a feud with Braun Strowman that tested both giants' limits. On the March 6 episode of Raw, the two clashed in a powerhouse encounter. Big Show used his experience to control early exchanges, landing massive punches and corner splashes. Strowman, however, displayed unrelenting power and resilience, absorbing Big Show's attacks and retaliating with equally devastating force. The match reached a shocking peak when Strowman executed a monumental power slam, sending Big Show crashing through the ring in an unforgettable moment that emphasized the sheer size and dominance of both competitors. The aftermath left fans stunned, and the segment was replayed multiple times as a highlight of WWE's evolution of big man storytelling. Across these years, Big Show's journey showcased a career defined by resilience, strength, and a willingness to put everything on the line for memorable moments. From championship clashes with Mark Henry to intense rivalries with Randy Orton, high-stakes encounters with The Shield, his dominant performance at WrestleMania 31's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and unforgettable matches with Braun Strowman, Big Show consistently left his mark on WWE history. Every match demonstrated his ability to combine raw power with storytelling, elevating opponents while delivering performances fans would never forget. Ultimately, after decades of commanding the ring and entertaining millions, Big Show brought his in-ring career to a close. His journey spanned years of legendary battles, unforgettable moments, and championship triumphs, and he retired from WWE, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most iconic and physically dominant superstars in the history of professional wrestling. It's ready to use exactly as is. After departing WWE in 2021, Paul White embarked on a new chapter in professional wrestling by joining All Elite Wrestling, AEW. He made his AEW debut on the March 3rd, 2021 episode of Dynamite, where he signed a contract and announced himself as a commentator for AEW's new show, AEW Dark Elevation. White's in-ring debut occurred later that year at AEW All Out on September 5th, 2021, where he faced QT Marshall in a match that received mixed reactions from fans and analysts. While the match was not a high-profile bout, it showcased White's enduring presence and ability to engage the audience. White participated in key matches that highlighted his strategic wrestling intelligence. He faced opponents like Peter Avalon and Brian Cage, demonstrating his versatility and ability to adapt to different wrestling styles. These matches emphasized his experience and timing, reinforcing his status as a formidable competitor. While AEW offered a fresh arena for White's talents, it was his legacy outside the ring that reinforced the breadth of his career. Over the years, he had cultivated a unique presence in television and film, bringing his wrestling persona into mainstream entertainment. White appeared in movies such as Jingle All the Way, where his towering stature and comedic timing created memorable sequences alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger. In The Waterboy, he delivered physical comedy and exaggerated reactions that showcased his ability to blend humor with his imposing size. Knucklehead offered similar opportunities, allowing him to explore comedic acting while still capitalizing on his larger-than-life persona. These roles demonstrated that his appeal extended far beyond wrestling, highlighting his versatility as an entertainer and his understanding of timing, performance, and audience engagement. Television became another significant outlet for White. The Big Show on Netflix gave fans a rare glimpse into his personality outside of professional wrestling. The show combined family dynamics, humor, and wrestling references, allowing White to explore comedic storytelling while retaining elements of his in-ring identity. Through this series, he balanced exaggerated comedy with genuine warmth, showing audiences that the performer behind the giant was also relatable, charismatic, and capable of nuanced acting. These ventures allowed him to bridge the worlds of wrestling and mainstream entertainment, broadening his influence and showcasing his adaptability. Despite his numerous achievements, White's career was not without struggle. The physical toll of decades in the ring manifested in multiple knee, hip, and back surgeries, requiring careful management in every match. Maintaining weight and overall health was an ongoing challenge, particularly given his enormous size and the demands of high-impact performance. Yet, even with these hurdles, White continued to perform at a high level, demonstrating resilience and dedication that underscored his legendary status. His personal life remained a source of stability throughout the intense pressures of professional wrestling. While White had achieved nearly every possible accolade, multiple championships across WWE, Grand Slam victories, and decades of memorable matches, the one honor that remained elusive was induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. Fans and analysts frequently debated his absence, citing his longevity, influence, and contributions to the industry as undeniable reasons for recognition. Yet, even without formal induction, his legacy is firmly established through the countless matches, storylines, and moments that have defined modern professional wrestling. Looking back, White's career spans the full spectrum of professional entertainment, from his debut in WWE through decades of marquee pay-per-view matches, championship reigns, and intense rivalries, to his reinvention in AEW and ventures in film and television. He has continually demonstrated versatility, resilience, and showmanship. His ability to blend comedy, drama, and raw physicality has made him a singular figure in sports entertainment. Whether delivering devastating chokeslams, mentoring rising stars, or connecting with audiences through media projects, White has consistently left a lasting impact.